Okay.
Yeah, I blew it by you like a fast one on the outside corner. Okay, we're up to Gitvach, we're up to Nunches of the days. Today's daf is Nunches. The first part of the daf is exceedingly intense. The second part is easy. Okay. We saw a machloikis in the Mishnah between Reb Meir and Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. We're discussing the chiyuv of a woman to a husband, that she has to make the Ma'aseh Yodeh goes to the husband. What's exactly Ma'aseh Yodeha? The worth five, how much money she get paid for producing 5 shkolim worth of shesi wool. Anything that is called moiser, that's called extra. So the Mishnah said if a man is magdish, his nechasim, right? He's magdish the Ma'aseh Yodeh Ishta. He's magdish the workings of the hands. So we said the Ma'aseh Yodeh is not kodesh. However, the moiser, the extra, which he gets. Why? Because he gives us spending money. He gives a ma kesef. He gives a 1/6 of a dinar, which is a ma silver, a small denomination of a silver coin, a ma'ah. In lieu of that ma, he gets the any hadafa, any moiser that she makes above the 5 slayim, he would get. Therefore, according to Reb Meir, if you magdish it, it would be kodesh. Rabbi Yochanan Sandel disagrees. He says it would be chulin. So today we can discuss those two shitas: the shita of Reb Meir, who says that it's kodesh, that extra meiser, and the shita of the Rabbi Yochanan Sandler that says that what it is chulin. Okay, let's begin. We're on Nun Ches on the base, but that's about 8 to 9 lines up. About 8 to 9 lines up. That's where we are. Okay. The extra money that extra money that he would get for the Mo'ah Kesef, if he's Magdish, his wife's Nechas Ma'aseh Yodeh would be Kodesh. Emas Kodesh. Exactly when does it become Kodesh? Like Reb Meir, at which point in time does this extra money become Kodesh that she makes? Rabu Shmuel Dama Travayu, Moiser La'acha Misa. After Kodesh, after she dies. After she dies, then at that point in time when he inherits it, it will be Kaddish. Rav Ada bar Abba Amar, Moiser Mechayim Kaddish. The extra is Mechayim Kaddish. So we machlokes. Again, a man is Magdish Ma'aseh Yodai. The Mishnah we had machlokes from Yochanan Sandler and Reb Meir, whether it's Kaddish or not. Like Reb Meir and it's Kaddish, we have a machlokes between Rav Shmuel and Rav Ada bar Abba as to exactly when that kedusha occurs. According to Rav Shmuel, it occurs as soon as she dies, and then he inherits her. According to Rav Ada bar Abba, it would even be kodesh in her lifetime. Hoy boy Rav Papa b'mai. He was wondering. Rav Papa he's wondering about this whole machlokes. Elaine b'mai l'lam mezainis. If you're speaking where he's sustaining, he's supporting her. Umay l'lam ma'a. In addition to supporting her, he gives her ma'a kesef. He's giving ma'a kesef litzarcheha for her petty cash that she should have on hand. My time in the mandi amar la'acha misa kodesh. What's the reason Rav and Shmuel say after Misa? After all, everything is pointing that it should belong to him in her lifetime. So therefore it should be Kaddish. Again, he is supporting her. So he's getting Ma'aseh Yodeh. He is getting the extra because of the ma'ah he's giving her. So why does he have to wait till after her death? Apparently it's his now, and you magdish it should be Kaddish. Ve'ela must be speaking. Where he's not giving her anything, then my time in the Mechayim Kaddish. Then what's the reason in the lifetime it's Kaddish? After all, it's not his at all. This Meiser is it can only be Kaddish ostensibly if it belongs to him, right? A person can't be Magdish Dava Sheina Shalom. Guys, you can't be Magdish something that doesn't belong to you. In order to be Magdish something that has to belong to you, the only way it can get to belong to him if he's providing that Mazainis and the Ma'ah Kesef. So Miman of Shach, what exactly is this machlokes between Rav Ada bar Abba and Rav Shmuel? If he's supporting her, we don't understand. Rav Shmuel, and if he's not supporting her, we don't understand Rav Ada bar Abba. Says the Gemara, L'olam b'maylam mezainis. He is supporting her. However, ve'ena ma'olam Ma'ah Kesef v'tzarcheha. He's not giving her what that little extra. So she is being supported from the estate. That extra is not you're not getting. So the question is, if you're not getting it, why is it kodesh like Reb Meir? If you're not getting it in the lifetime, Rabbi Shmuel Savar, Tiknu Mezainis Tachas Ma'aser Yadeha, Uma Kesef Tachas Ma'aser. In other words, in matching up what he acquires, if he's supporting her, he gets her Ma'aser Yadeha. If he gives her the Kesef, then he gets the Ma'aser. So what's happening over here? He's not giving her the Kesef. In Cain, the Ma'aser belongs to her. In Cain, if he's Magdish his wife's property, the Ma'aser is not his to be Magdish. After all, it's not his. He didn't give the Kesef to warrant getting the Ma'aser. Again, you're getting the Ma'aser because of the Kesef. You didn't give the Kesef. So Memela, what says Rabbi Shmuel? It's only after a death that it becomes Kaddish. It's not Kaddish what in his lifetime because it belongs to her. The Kivin lo Kayav lo Kesef continues the Gemara. Ma'aser dida have, it belongs to her, and Memela, it can't be Kaddish in her lifetime. Rav Ada or Rav Sava, no. Tiknu Mezainis Tachas Ma'aser. Oh, 1 second. Not Ma'aser Yadeha to Mezainis, but since he supports her, he gets the Ma'aser. Since he gives it to what to eat, he gets the Ma'aser. Uma Kesef Tachas Ma'aser Yadeha. And since he goes ahead, he gives it a Mal Kesef, then he gets the Ma'aser Yadeha. Now, it's speaking what? Where we didn't give it the Mal Kesef. The Kim the Kayav la Mezayne, Ma'aser dida have. But since he does give it a Mezainis, then the Ma'aser is his, and then he gets it. Okay, so let's match it up. They're both speaking, guys, where he is providing the Mezainis, he's not providing the Ma'aser, the Mal Kesef and the Ma'aser. Says Rabbi Shmuel, this Mezainis he gets from Ma'aser Yadeha, so that's his because he did provide it. However, this, since he didn't give them all Kesef, he doesn't have it. Memela, if he's Magdish it, it's not Kodesh till after her death when he inherits it. That's Rabbi Shmuel. Says Rav Ada bar Rava, he matches it up differently. He says the Ma'aser Yadeha is for the Mezainis is for the Ma'al Kesef. He says the Mezainis is for the Ma'aser. In other words, since he provided food for her, he gets the Ma'aser. Since he didn't give the Ma'al Kesef, he doesn't get the Ma'aser Yadeha. Since he's providing Mezainis, therefore the Ma'aser is his. The male, if the Ma'aser is his and he's Magdish it, it's Kodesh in her lifetime because it was his. Again, the whole rule of thumb is it has to be his to be Kodesh. It is his. Why? Because since he's providing her Mizonos, it belongs to him. Now the question is, why did they match it up? Why did Rabbi Shmuel say the Ma'aser Yadeha is Tachel Mezainis, and why did Rav Ada Rabbi says the Ma'aser is Tachel Mezainis? Says the Gemara, but my Kamifluki, Masava Rabbi Shmuel are of the opinion Midi the Shchichi, both Mezainis and Ma'aser Yadeha are Shchichi. For a man, for her need to eat and for her to work are common. That's expected. Mimidi the shricha. So you're going to go Ma'aser Yadeha, Tachas Vad, Mezainis. Umasavar, and Rav Ada bar Rava is of the opinion, Midi the Kayitz, something that's a set amount. Ma'aser Yadeha, the set amount being the amount of money she make for weight of 5 sloyim of shesi wool. Midi the Kayitz from the Ma'al Kesef. So therefore, the Ma'al Kesef gets you the Ma'aser Yadeha, and the Ma'aser gets you the Mezainis. Okay, so let's just clear the decks. We have a machloikis in our Mishnah between Rav Meir and Rav Yochanan Sandla. In Rav Meir, we have a machloikis between Rabbi Shmuel and Rav Ada bar Rava. According to Rabbi Shmuel, right, and Rav Ada, it's speaking where he's providing Mezainis, but he didn't pay for the Ma'aser. He didn't pay a Ma'al Kesef. Now, Rabbi Shmuel hold that the Ma'al Kesef gets you the Ma'aser. Memela, if he's Magdish the Ma'aser and she's alive, it belongs to her. As soon as he dies, it belongs to him. So therefore, they Zetzayin on Mishnah, Rameya, it's Kaddish after her death. Rav Ada bar Rava says the opposite. He says the Ma'aser is the Mezainis and the Ma'al Kesef is what for the Ma'aser Yadeha. Since he's giving her Mezainis, he gets the Ma'aser. Since he has the Ma'aser in her lifetime, it belongs to him. He therefore can be Magdish it. And that's the machlokas between the two. Very good. Meisive. Tikuna Mezainis Tachas Ma'aser Yadeha. Kasha on Rav Ada bar Rava, who says they went Tachas Ma'aser. Says the Gemara, Amos Tachas Ma'aser Yadeha. Say, just take out the word Mezainis and put in the word Ma'aser. We've had this brisa before, and we switched it around. So it's not It's not going out on a limb to say that the Baisa was not it was correct. Again, we're switching it for the second time, a second way. So it must be that they didn't feel this was the correct text. Toshma, if he does not give a more kesef for tzacheha, then the Maisiyadeha clearly like Rav Ada Barava, that the more kesef is giving you the Maisiyadeha. Not the Mizoinus is giving you the Maisiyadeha, but the more kesef, a raya to Rav Ada and a kasha on Rav and Shmuel. And for the Gemara, Amos Moisa Maisiyadeha Shalah. Don't say the Maisiyadeha itself, but say the Moisa Maisiyadeha. I mean the extra you get. Why do you get the extra for? For the more kesef. Good? Okay. So to understand the next piece, let's just go to the Mishnah on Samech Daled, guys. Samech Daled mid base. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there this week. What a man has to provide for his wife. Okay. Where the lines get wide, let's go down 4 lines. Where the lines get wide. Nice in law more kesel l'tzacheha. He gives her more kesef for she should have petty cash. Vaycheles imay mileli Shabbos, and she eats with him from one Friday night to another Friday night. This again, we'll see. This is what we need now. And if you don't give her more kesef l'tzacheha, Maisiyadeha Shalah, umahi oisa loy, and what does she do for him? Mishkal chamesh sloyim. She goes ahead and works for the weight of 5 sloyim shesi b'Yehuda of weft wool or top type of wool in Yehuda shehein esa sloyim b'galo. So it's mashma over here that is going on the Maisiyadeha, not on the Meiser. You say it means the Meiser guys. You say this means the extra of the Maisiyadeha. It's mashma. This is the Maisiyadeha. So how can we say it's the Meiser Maisiyadeha when it is Maisiyadeha? So the Gemara is going to say, here's what it says. What is considered Maisiyadeha? What's considered extra? Anything beyond the 5 slayim. That's how we're going to read it. Not that it's discussing the Maisiyadeha, it's discussing the Meiser. But to ascertain what the Meiser is, the extra, we have to know what the baseline is. And the baseline is the 5 slayim. Like, let's see it by us. Again, we're asking on Rabbi and Shmuel. Rabbi and Shmuel says that the Maisiyadeha is Tachas Mezainis. It's mashma over here. The Maisiyadeha is because of the Meiser. What is the Maisiyadeha? Oisla Mishkal Chamisha Sloyim Shesiba Yehuda says no Hachi Kamar. Maisiyadeha Kama. We have to know how much is Maisiyadeha. Have delay that to know Maisadida Kama. We have to know how much the extra is. What is the baseline? What is Maisiyadeha? Is Mishkal Chamesh Sloyim Shesiba Yehuda Shehein Esa Sloyim Begalo. Either way, both Rav Ada and Rabbi and Shmuel have deflected a challenge to their pshat. Again, according to Rabbi and Shmuel, Maisiyadeha is like the Mizoinus, like we've been learning all along. According to Rav Ada Ba'aba, it's Tachas, the Mo'as is Maisiyadeha, and Mizoinus is Tacha Meister, that extra. Omar Shmuel, Halacha Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. We didn't discuss his sheet at all, but if a man is Magdish, the Maisiyadeha of his wife, if the man is Magdish, the Maisiyadeha of his wife, then it's Chulin. Says Reb Meir, it's Kodesh. We're leaving Reb Meir now, and we're saying that that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla, that money is Chulin. That money is Chulin. In other words, okay. Now, it's very important. The next piece of Gemara is really intense. It's really intense. Why would it be Chulin? Guys, why would it be Chulin? You went ahead, you said, I'm Magdish, the Maisiyadeha of my wife. So it must be, right? It must be that a person is not able to Magdish a Davish Labai Lailam. She didn't die yet. In other words, Rab and Shmuel both agree after she dies, it belongs to him. Guys, right? Rab and Shmuel both agree after she dies, it belongs to him. So what would the reason, why would Yochanan Sandler say it's Chulin? Why don't we say the following? When she's alive, she makes the money, it belongs to her, he can't be Magdish it, she dies, it's now Kaidish because what? He was Magdish it, like Rav Meir. Says Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, we don't say that. We say it's Chulin, because it must be when he was Magdish it, as of yet, she didn't make the money, and as of yet, she hadn't died. So it must be if Shmuel is paskening like Rabbi Yochanan as Sandla, it must be that what? He holds that Ein Adam Magdish Dava Shala Ba'ala Olam. A man can be Magdish something that's not in this world. And in this case, it's two possibilities: the etzem money she made or her death. Guys, that's the very important. The rest of the Gemara is predicated upon this premise that we're extrapolating from Shmuel pasling like Yochanan Sadla that what? That it must be he holds you not Magdish Dava Shala Olam. Take a look at Rashi. He explains it nicely. Mi Yom Shmuel Hachi. V'Amar Shmuel El. Shmuel said before, B'Meiser La'acham Misa Pligi. They're arguing after she dies. V'Allah Rabbi Yochanan Sandla, and on that Rabbi Yochanan Sandla said that's Kulin. V'Afa Pita Hashta Didehu, even though it belongs to him now. So why isn't it Kodesh? Alma time Rabbi Yochanan Mishim Davash Labai Hu. She didn't die yet. Since he didn't give her a mal kesef. And Shmuel's holding the halacha is like that. Guys, you got it? Fellas, you got it? Let's say some bobbleheads or some fingers up. Right? Guys, we have it? Good. So person, now you're holding a person can be magnish davish labal olam. Now, the rest of the Gemara is the following. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask from a case where a woman says, my siyadai, I coin him to my husband. And we're going to see Shmuel holds, you could be Magdash Davish L'Bayla Olam. So we're going to have that stira. I'm giving you the stira, I'm giving you the teretz. Guys, listen up. We're going to show that if a woman says, my siyadai, I coin him, we're going to say that Shmuel holds that it works, that you have to take off the neder. Why do you have to take off the neder? Obviously, because it works. So you see a person could be Magdash Davish L'Bayla Olam. As of yet, her Maisa Yodai are not in this world. And nonetheless, Shmuel is saying the halach is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is of the opinion you have to remove the neder, lest you divorce her and you want to take her back. Now, if you can't be Magdish Davish L'Bayla Olam, why would you have to take off the neder? It's not Kaddish. Eli, you see when Shmuel paskin that like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, you do have to take off the neder. It must be that what? That a person could be Magdish L'Bayla Olam. So here's the stira. Over here, he's passing like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. Ein Magdish Davish L'Bayla Olam. Here he's passing like Rabbi Yochanan Nuri. A person is Magdish Davish L'Bayla Olam. That's your stira. What's the teretz? We're going to say koinim is going on her hands, not on the workings of her hands, but her hands. Her hands are in the world. Since her hands are in the world, ein achinami. Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. Ein Adam Magdish Davish L'Bayla Olam. But since her hands are in the world, it's a bala olam. That's the teretz. We're going to have a bunch of kashas on that teretz, but that's the bottom line. So if you be, let's say, hypothetically writing a blog and you want to avoid a very difficult Gemara, in the end you can go ahead and say that, okay, in the end you're magdish the hands, okay? So that's, I wrote the script already, back the press. Anyway, so guys, here, I'm giving you the Gemara because we're going to fill in the blanks now with a lot of hard stuff, but that's the bottom line. At the end of the day, he holds, like Taka, like he just said, that the reason why after the person dies, it's chulin is because it wasn't in the world. Because Rabbi Yochanan Sandla holds ein adam b'magdish davish l'bayla olam, and Shmuel agrees with that. And the koinim, the next mission, that's mashma, you have to, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, that you have to take off, you need afara to take off the neder, is because a person is magdish. And the answer is, the second koinim is speaking, the second Bryce is speaking, not on the davish l'bayla olam, it's speaking on the hands that are bala olam. So I've given you the Gemara, we're just going to fill in the blanks now and see how it works out. Says the Gemara weiter, Shmak. Amar Shmuel loch Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. Read the Gemara, Umi Amar Shmuel hachi. Does Shmuel really say that what? That the loch is like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla? But Tanan, koinim she'ani oisel lepich. Whatever I make, my hands should be asa to you like a carbon. It should be kaddish to you. In other words, I'm not magdish the whole thing. To you, it's kaddish. To the rest of the world, they can use it. But to you, my hubby, it's asa. To you, my hubby, it's asa. It's kind of to you. Rest of the world, it's good. Ain't it tzarich lahafir? Says the Tanakama, you don't have to take it off. You know why? She doesn't have the ability to do that. Rabbi Akiva Amar Yafa, you do. Why? Shemet hadif a love. Yesem in a roila. Maybe she'll make a little extra, and the extra, a little extra does belong to her. Maisi Yadel, because the Mizainis belongs to him. She can't be magdish something that doesn't belong to him. Mashenkein, a little extra that is hers. Guess what? She could. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, this is what we need. Amar Yafer, you have to take off the neder. Shema Yigrashena, maybe he will divorce her. And he'll be usher to go ahead and take her back because all the Maisi Yadai are usher. Now, guys, maybe he'll divorce her as the Davish Labalaylam. The Maisi Yadeha is a Davish Labalaylam. Yet Shmuel said that Allah is like a Yochanan ben Nuri. You got to steer her. Yochanan has let schooling because you could be Magdashit. Over here, the koinem works. But why? Maybe he'll divorce her? But he didn't divorce her yet. So the Gerishin is Labalaylam. The food is Labalaylam. And that might see that she's working Labalaylam. You got a double Labalaylam here. So you got to steer her. Shmuel like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla, no. Shmuel like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, yes. That's the steerer. Says the Gemara, Kiyom Shmuel like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri lahadafa. So he's speaking about the extra. So the extra. Now, first of all, it really doesn't answer the kasha, guys, because if the Davish Labalim is the divorce, so they're not divorced, right? They're not divorced. Elama, the Gemara, they're going to give a better kasha. In other words, I could have asked this kasha, how does this answer the stira? But I'm going to give you a better teretz. So why didn't Shmuel say the word hadafa? Just don't say the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Say lahadafa, the halacha like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Inami or else say ain't halacha Tanakama. The halacha is not like the Tanakama who says you have to take v'neder. Inami or else say halacha Rabbi Akiva that it's speaking about the hadafa. So therefore, when you don't say any of those, this teretz of hadafa is not holding up. So we're back to original stira, right? Stira. Why over here does he say yes? You could. Ella, Amar Rabbi Yosef. Here's the teretz. Koinamis karmit. You're speaking about koinamis. Shiny koinamis. Mitoich she'adam oisa peris chaveroi alav. Adam magdish davish labalayla. Okay, outside, guys, outside. Okay, here's what I'm doing. You see my good friend Hershel Yankelovich. He's sitting in his office there, working very hard. I'm being magdish his computer. His computer's kodesh. You can't use it anymore. No one sitting here would say that I have the power to do that. I don't have the power to be magdish somebody else's property. What can I do? I could say that computer is koinem to me. A koinem has capacity not to make a universal kodesh, like being magdish. If I'm magdish, the computer would be usher to everybody on the screen now. Koinem would make it usher to me. Since koinem has capacity to go ahead and asa for me, I could also, just like it works over there, it works by davish labalaylam. So memela really holds ein adam magdish davish labalaylam. But since the isha said my ma'isa yadai are koinem, since she has the capacity to asa through that, she can asa davish labalaylam. That's the first attempted teretz. Rabbi Yosef's teretz. Koinem is different. Since she has the capacity to go ahead and asa peris chavera love, adam magdish davish labalaylam. Amalei Abaya is on the attack now. 1 second. Bishlema Adam Oisa Peris Chaveri Love. I can asa Heshi's computer to me. Shekain Adam Oisa Peris Chaveri, because I can asa my computer on Heshi. I have that power. I can asa Heshi's on myself, just like I can asa my computer on Heshi. But the asa dava shaloi boila oilam al Chaveri. Do I have the capacity to ask something that's not in the world on Heshi? I can't ask Heshi's computer on Heshi. The computer in our mashal, the computer is meshubed. Let's actually the Paris are meshubed to the husband, right? The Paris, in other words, the Maisi Yadeh is meshubed to the husband, as long as she's not divorced, right? It's meshubed doesn't. So what do you want to say? I can't asa something that belongs to somebody on that somebody. How can I asa Heshi's computer on Heshi? I can't do that. Even with the lashon of koinem, I can't do that. If I would say Heshi's computer is koinem to Heshi, big deal. What's this woman saying? Guys, you want to say the following. Since koinim can make it asa, so therefore we'll waive, since it has unique that it can asa to the person, we won't say it can asa davar shel ba'olam. Says Abaya, that makes no sense whatsoever. Why can I asa something that belongs to me? Because I can ask why can I ask something that belongs to him on me? Because I can ask something that belongs to me on him. I can't ask something that belongs to Heshi on Heshi. The woman can't asa hamaisa yadeha even with the lashon of kainim on the husband. Her maisa yadeha are meshubid. They are in bondage to the husband. He gave him a zionist. He gave him a zionist. It's not hers to asa even with the lashon of kainim. So your teretz of Yosef doesn't work. To get us out of this stira and say that by kainim you could asa davar shel ba'olam, it's not true. Because you can, even with a kainim, you can only asa something on yourself or something on yourself to another. But you can't asa that other on his thing. I can't asa Heshi's computer on Heshi, and this woman cannot asa her ma'aseh yadeha. It's not her ma'aseh yadeha. She can't asa his shibud on ma'aseh yadeha to him. Got it? I hope you got it. You can't do it. So we're stuck with the same quandary, guys. We don't have a teretz to the stira. Rabbi Yochanan Sandla ain't Adam Magdish. Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri Adam Magdish. Again, and you know the answer. What's the answer? It's not ma'aseh yadeha, but it's the hands itself. Good. We're going to lead up to that. Okay? Very good. Let's just see the lashon again. Amalei Abaya. Bishleim Adam ma'aseh peres chaverei love. A person I can ask them my peres on Heshi. Shekain Adam ma'aseh peres al chaverei. I can say Heshi's peres are also to me because I can ask my peres to Heshi. Can you ask us something that's not in the world on your chaver? I can't ask Heshi's computer on Heshi, and this woman can't ask the ma'aseh yadeha of a husband that belonged to a husband through a shibud on him. Ella, you're right. Ella dead end. Ella Amrav Huna Breda Yeshua. Guys, here's a teretz, and it's going to hold up. She says, Koinim yakdishu yadai lasayim. My hands are kodesh, the yadayim aslinu ba'olam. The hands are in the world. Okay, got it? That's the teretz. Now a bunch of hard kashas, but that's the teretz, and in the end, it's going to hold up. Because so, guys, in answer to the stira, what does Shmuel hold? Ein adam magdish lavish le'ba'olam. Therefore, if a person's magdish the meiser, it's chulim when the woman dies. Because the Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla. When Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri says you have to take off the neder, because it's ba'al olam. Because she didn't say koina ma'aseh yadai. She says my hands are koinen and our hands are in the world. Good. Now now a bunch of kashas on that. Ella Amrav Hun Beid Yeshua by Meres Yakdishu Yadai La Sayam the Yadai Misnu Ba'olam. The Chika Amra Hachi Fred the Gemara Mi Mekacha. Would she be able to magdish her hands? Hamishtabdole. Her hands are meshubah to her husband. In other words, the same question. How could she be asked something that doesn't belong to her? Her hands, the working of her hands, even her physical hands that are physically on her, the working of her hands belong to her husband. So how would that help? Says the Gemara, the Amr, she says, L'chim Garsha. She says, when is it asa? After I divorce him, or after he divorces me. So ein achinami, when it only becomes asa, my hands, which are in the world, after the divorce. Right now, it's not kaddish. Well, the kamei kaddish. Right now, the ma'aseh yadai not kaddish to the husband, but it's meshubit. But once they get divorced, then it's kainim, then it is. Do you find such an idea that if it's not kaddish now, it will be kaddish later? Amar Rebbe Eloi, Alam Eloi, what do you mean that? I'll show you, yes. I'll show you something that's not kaddish now and kaddish later. Ilu ha'omer lechaveiro. If a person say to his friend, Sadazu shani meichelecha, this field that I'm selling to you, l'she'ekachena mimcha, when I go ahead and repurchase it from you. In other words, I'm selling it to you now, and when I repurchase it, I buy it back from you, tigdish, it should be kaddish. Miloi katsha, would it not be kaddish? So you see, right now, I'm selling it to you, it's not kaddish, but when I buy it back from you, it is. So you see, it's possible for something not to be Kaddish now and to be Kaddish later. So too over here. Right now, when she goes says, "Koinim my yadai, my hands are," right now it's not Kaddish, but if the Gerushin it would be. Maskevla Rav Yirmiyah, mi dummy. How could you compare the case of the field to the case of the Isha with her hands? Hasam over there by the field, biyadei lakdisha. Right now, if this person before he sold the field, could he be magdish the field? It's his field, of course he could. So Memela, since it's his power to be magdish it now, he can make a condition that he'll be magdish it later. But hacha ain't biyada lagarish esatzma. She can't go ahead and get divorced now. In other words, she can't facilitate the mechanism that would make the kedusha come about. So it's not a good sushtel whatsoever, right? So we're asking the kasha. Is it possible to magdish something now, and it doesn't work now, but it'll work later? And the raya you want to bring from fields that it does work, it's possible, is not true. The reason why the field it does work is because I can do it right now. But right now the woman's not divorced, and if she's not divorced, her hands are meshubah to the husband. So Fred the Gemara Kasha, how can you tell me it's not kaddish now and be kaddish later? We don't find anything that's not kaddish now and kaddish later. Haloidamya Ella, this I'll tell you what it's comparable to. This field, when I sell it to you, when I buy it back from you, tigdish, right? That it should be kaddish then, the loy kitcha, and it's not. Guys, watch. I say I'm selling a field now to Benji. Benji, when I buy the field back from you, then it should be kaddish. It doesn't work. Why? It's a love olam. I sold it to him, and then I said when I repurchase it from him, I'm not saying this a hegdish now. When I repurchase it from him, that's a davish love olam. When I repurchase it from him, it's not the olam now. So that's the same thing as the isha. So it says the Gemara, it should work. How could you tell guys? Watch. Just like when I repurchased the field from Heshi, there's no kedusha. So too when the husband divorces me, there shouldn't be any kedusha. There's nothing when she said koinem, my hands are koinem. You all agree there's nothing. Why? Because her hands are meshubah to the husband. You all agree when I sell the field to Benji, once I sell the field, there's no kedusha. However, when I buy it back, then I can make a kaddish. So over here, over that field, I could make a kaddish, but it's not kaddish on my statement that I made earlier. The statement, Benji, I'm selling you the field, and when I buy it back, it's kaddish. Yeah, good. It's not going to be kaddish then. It'll be kaddish if I make a new kedusha then, but not on the previous statement. So how can the woman hasa something that's meshubah to her husband, and it works later on what she said before? So we're back to original kasha. Your teretz that you want to give, that the case of koinim, that Rechem Menuri says you have to go ahead and be mefer. If you hold a person can be magdash lavish b'laylam, right? How could you go ahead and do it? And don't tell me it's speaking about our hands, because the hands are meshubah to the husband, and you can't say it'll be kaddish when you get divorced. That's a davish b'laylam, and the kedusha wasn't chal then. So we're back to the original stira of the kash. Maskela rapapa. Me dummy, it's not comparable to that case. Hasam gufu Paris biyada de lekeach. Over there by the field, the goof of the field and the Paris on the hands of the lekeach. Hacha gufa her hands biyada who, right? But over here, her hands, right? Her hands are there. Her hands, in other words, of the land, the goof and the Paris of the land are in the hands of the lekeach or the meicher, either one. But over here, her hands are him. So halaydami ela lo'im lechaveroi amid beis. Lo'im lechaveroi sadazu, this field shemish. Forget about a sale. Shemish chanti loch. This field that I gave to you as a pikadon. The chshef dena when I'm paid it nimcha tigdish the kitcha. So guys, this field that I gave to you as a mashkin, when I redeem it from you, then it should be kaidish, and it works. These hands that I'm meshubah to you, when I redeem it by getting divorced, should be kaddish. So it should work. Again, this field that I don't have in my possession, it's a mashkin by you. when I get it back, it should be Kaddish, and it is. So who adin, these hands that are out of my jurisdiction because they're married to you and the hands are meshubah to you, when I'm paid to them, in this case, I'm paid to them by gerushin, by getting divorced, they should be what? They should be Kaddish, and it is. So therefore, with Chayr, we have a good teretz. Maskler of Shisha, Bered Ravidi, Mi Dami, it's not comparable. Hasam biyada liftoisa, hacha ein biyada legarish atzma. Guys, over there by the field, you can go ahead and be paid it. By the field, you can go ahead and be paid it. Mamela, since you could be paid it, therefore you can go ahead and be magdash it. Mashenkin over here, good. When she gets free, but right now it's not in her hands to get free. So therefore, it's not a good tzushtel, and therefore it's not a good teretz. Halay damya ela loim lechaveiroi sadadu shemeshkanti lecha. This field that I gave to you last shana for 10 years, l'she'efdena mimcha tagdish the kaddish. So this field that I gave to you for 10 years, when I redeem it, it should be kaddish, but only after the redemption. And over here, it would be only after the gerushin, and that's the davish l'bayloilam. Maskler of Ashi midami hasam le'esa shana mia biyada lefdaisa hacha ein biyada l'garish atzma loilam. Over here, she can't. Over there, after 10 years, right? You could get it back. Mashenkin over here, you can never get it back. It's not. Maybe you'll never get divorced. So why over here does it work? So again, where are we holding? We're back to the original stira. The only teretz we had to answer the stira between Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri and Rabbi Yochanan and Sandla, according to Shmuel, was over here it's speaking where it's bal oilam because it's going on the hands. But we don't understand why should it be kaddish when it goes on the hands, that you should need to maybe made for the neder. Since the hands are meshubid and gerushin is lo bal oilam, you should not. And the whole ain't other magdish davish oilam. Why would Shmuel hold like Rabbi Yochanan and Nuri? You would have to go ahead and take off the neder. If there's no kedusha, there's no neder. So Ella final teretz. Ella Amar Ravashi. Kainamis ka'armit. You're speaking about kainamis. Shiny kainamis the kedushas haguf ninu uchidarava. Damarava hegdish chametz v'shichra mafkiyim midei shibud. Okay, guys, outside. I go ahead and I say, Kenny, I need a loan. So no problem, Rabbi Stern, give you a loan. I need $500,000. Rabbi Stern, that's a pretty hefty loan. How are you going ahead and insuring that loan? I said, here's a field. This field is a mamish, a bumper crop. It's in Iowa. It produces $1 million worth of corn a year. Kenny says it's a deal. Good. This field is meshubah to Kenny. I go ahead and magdish the field. The act of kedusha is mafkia the shibud that Kenny has in the field. I basically mess up Kenny. It's meshubah to Kenny. What koinim does, it takes off a shibud. It takes off a lien. Her hands are meshubah to her husband. When she says koinim, my hands, it takes off the shibud. Got it? Takes off the shibud. The male, if it takes off the shibud, it's kaddish. So the question is, why isn't kaddish after gerushin? It should be kaddish now. If it took off the shibud, it should be kaddish now. So let's see it inside. Elam Ravashi, kainam is karmit. She's saying her hands are kainim. Shiny kainam is the kedushas aguf ninu. It's not kedushas damim. It's kedushas aguf. Uchidarav damarava hegdish. The act of being magdish something chametz. The act of something becoming chametz. The shichro, the act of freeing someone. Mafkim midei shibud. For the Gemara, if that's the case, that the act of kainim to our hands would go ahead and be mafka the shibud, the nikdashu mehashta. So let it be kaddish from now. Why do you wait after gerushin? It should go ahead, and now it should be kaddish right now. And for the Gemara, almur rabon l'shibudei debal, the chachamim they raised up the shibud debal ki heichad like tigdish mehashta, that it should not be kaddish from now. If you look at Rashi, the one before the Mishnah, almur rabon l'shibudei debal, ba'oida tachtav, as long as she's married to him, the rabbanon elevated his shibud. The shavi rabbanon kilakeach gomer. The Chachamim made him like a leikeach, v'loy kimilva, and not like a milva. In other words, if Kenny lent me money, therefore I can take away the shibud. What happens if Kenny had bought the field? My act of kedusha cannot take it away from Kenny. He owns it. So the Chachamim, what they said is the shibud on her hands while they're still married is if he bought her hands. If he bought her hands, then the act of koinim is not going to go ahead and take it off. So obviously the kasher is that why does it take it off afterwards? So you have to say that it's kind of like a hybrid. It's on and off. It's on the shibud's on as long as they're married, but it's off as soon as they get divorced. Okay, let's just chazah ibn the whole Gemara very quickly. We had a machlokish misna between Reb Meir and Reb Yochanan Sandla regarding a person being magdish the meiser, the extra money that he gets for giving a more kesef. Right? Said Shmuel, the Allah is like Reb Yochanan Sandla. Now, Shmuel held that on Mishnah speaking, where he gave him his zionist, but he didn't give him the more kesef. So if he didn't give him the more kesef, the meiser does not belong to him. When does it belong to him? Only after he dies. But after she dies, it's chulin. Why is it chulin? It should be kaddish. Because it must be why. Ein adam magdish davish labal olam. So since the act of kedusha took place before it was in the world, before she died, therefore it's not chal. So we see when Shmuel paskin like Rabbi Yochanan Sandla, he must hold ein adam magdish davish labal olam. If a woman says my ma'aser yada are koinim to my husband, it requires hafara according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Why? It's a davar shel ba'al and you're going to say after he divorced her, it's still a davar shel ba'al. The divorce is loy ba'al and the ma'aser there is loy ba'al, right? So and Shmuel passes like Yochanan and Nuri. How do you get out of it? And for the Gemara, you do get it out of it because it's not speaking going on the ma'aser yedeha on the workings of the hands. It's going on her actual hands, and her hands are in the world. We had a bunch of questions on that. How exactly that works? In the finality, it works the following: when you say koinim, right? And the hands are meshubah to the husband, that act of koinim takes off the shibud. Since it removes the shibud from the hands, so it belongs to her, and it's bala olam, it's in this world. Therefore, when she gets divorced, it should be what? Asa. And therefore you would need hafara, since it takes its chal. That's the Gemara. Okay, next Gemara is much easier, guys. Next piece is Hashem had Rachmanis. It's much easier. Says the Mishnah. These are the malachis that a woman can do for her husband. Literally, she grinds. For oifa, she bakes. Umechabesa, she washes his clothing. Mifashela, she cooks. Umenika es bina, and she nurses her son. The Rosh makes a diak, fellas. What happens if the man would have a son that's not her son? She wouldn't have to nurse him. Umenika es bina, her son. She makes the beds, the karim, the kistais, the mattresses, and the pillows. And she works in semer. We'll discuss that. Now, what happens if she brings in help? If he brings one maid into the house, she doesn't have to grind anymore. She doesn't have to bake anymore. She doesn't have to do the laundry anymore. That can be done by the maid. If you bring in two maids, she doesn't have to cook anymore. Nor does she have to go ahead and nurse a child anymore. Shalosh, bring in three maids. She doesn't have to make the bed. She doesn't have to be Yosef Semer. Arba, if you bring in four, Yosheves B'Kadatra, she can go ahead and sit in the lounge chairs, meaning she sit with the Ish Chashubis and play. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, even 100, you cause her to go ahead and work. It's, but a woman has too much time on her hands, it leads to pritzas, at least this nus. This guy wants his wife not to work. He makes a neder that she shouldn't work. She can leave and give a ksuba. Why? Maybe they shimam. If a person does nothing, guys, it brings you to shigoyim. Rashi says, you know what shima means? Shigoyim brings you to nuttiness. If you find people often who retire, they have one idea of what retirement's going to be like. And it's not like you think it is. You really could lose your mind. You have too much time on your hands, and it could lead to bad things. It's a very famous Mishnah. Now, let's go over the different things. Techenes is mashma that she is working the mill. Now, the mill in those days was usually by a chamar or by water. So what do you mean she's grinding? It's the water or the chamar that's grinding. So techenes al kedaitach, el'ema matchenes. She feeds the hopper of the mill. She gets at the other end the grain that is ground up, but she's not actually doing the actual act of grinding. She's facilitating it by feeding the hopper and gathering the grain. Berichaya the Yoda, it's speaking about a hand grinder, and therefore she's doing what? Actually going ahead and Teichenes. Masnisan like Reb Chia. Our Mishnah that says a woman has to do these things for her husband is not like Reb Chia. The Tani Reb Chia, Ein Isha Ela L'Yaifi. The whole purpose of an Isha is for beauty, and Ein Isha Ela L'Banim, and the purpose of an Isha is for procreation. Right? The Tani Reb Chia, Ein Isha Ela L'Tachshita Isha. Reb Chia says that you should buy tachshitim for her, the jewelry, spices, perfume. The Tani Reb Chia, Haroitza Sheyadin Es Ishtoi. If a person wants to enhance his look of his wife, he'll be shena kli pishton, go ahead and clothe her in linen clothing. Haroitza sheyalben es bitoi. Anyone who wants to go ahead and give a glow, a beauty to his daughter. Yachilenu efroichim, feed her Cornish hens. V'yashkena chalav samach lepirka, and if she posts nairis, have her drink milk. So Reb Chia is of the opinion that women shouldn't be working. They're there for yoifi. Let's see Taisvis. The second Taisvis in the bottom. Tana Reb Chia, ein isha ela lo yoifi. Like polig ella atechenes va'oife umeinika espina uchayitze behen shemachkishas yafyaha. He's only arguing on the components that would detract from her beauty because of doing physical labor. Aval oise betzemer, going ahead and working in the wool, which is not going to detract from loy pligi the ma'aser yada tachas mezainis. Because again, he's not arguing Reb Chia that a woman should not work. It's just that she shouldn't do very physical hard labor. It seems the working of the loom for the semer was not physically hard. Masha'en came teichenes and oifa mashelas, working like that could be a very, very hard thing to do. So I saw a beautiful pshat, guys. Reb Chia goes l'shitasai. Reb Chia says over here, the reason for a woman is for a husband, for beauty, and for producing children. We had a Gemara in Yevamis, Daf Samech Gimel. It seems Reb Chia had a really bad wife, and he used to bring a tachshitin. And his nephew Rav said to him, "Why do you treat her so well? After all, the way she treats you." So he said, "It's enough. She protects me from Averis and raises my children." So that's Reb Chia beautifully as she taslay. The purpose of a woman is the yaifa, to live with a husband, a beauty, to enhance a husband, and enhance herself for a husband, and to raise the children. Says the Gemara, let's say our Mishnah is not like Beis Shammai. Titania, Nodra Shaloi Lahanik Espina. Our Mishnah says one of the things a woman has to do is nurse her child, but for the husband. In other words, the husband does not have, let's say a woman says the following, I don't want a nurse. If you want to, hire a nursemaid. And the answer is she can't say that. She can't tell the husband to hire a nursemaid, right? She has the nurse. Now our Mishnah says that Beis Shammai says a woman can make a neder shloi lahanik espina. So Beis Shammai Yomrim, Shem Tizdad mi piv, you take the dot out of the mouth. You don't let her nurse because she could do that. And Beis Hillel Yomrim kaifa, you force her many kasai. Niskarsha, if she gets divorced, ain't a kaifa, right? The imhaya makira, and if the baby only recognizes this mother as the nursing, and he won't nurse from anyone else, like Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to learn from the mitzvahs, nursing the mitzvahs, nice schara, then you pay the woman. It's actually paying the mother the kaifa many kasai, they are sakana to the child. So clearly, when Beis Shammai says the neder is chal, it must be that's in her rishus, in her jurisdiction to do that. Not like our Mishnah, who says she's mechuyev to her husband. And for the Gemara, afilu tema Beis Shammai, hachamay askin going shenadra he v'kayim lahu. She made the neder, and the husband should have taken it off. The husband's failure to take it off puts the onus in his court. Because Beis Shammai, who knows in etzav ein shineha, and now he's going to have to hire a nursemaid because he should have taken it off. So ein achinami. Beis Shammai holds the following: the chiyuv taka is what it's the husband's. She makes a neder, but by him going ahead and be mekayim the neder, it's if he said, okay, it's his fault. Now you're going to have to hire a nursemaid. So therefore, he could be the Tana of a Mishnah, agreeing that it's a chiyuv on the woman. Beis Hillel Savi, he knows the etzav ein shineha. No. He doesn't have to worry about it. She has no right doing it. Fred Gemara, if that's the case, that they're arguing if you don't take off a neder or not, who the onus is upon, or the onus is upon, says the Gemara, why don't they argue by a ksuba? In other words, a woman goes ahead, she makes a neder, not to have any enough from him. And he's mekayim the neder. So Beis Shammai says that she should go out and collect a ksuba. And Beis Hillel says, no, she wouldn't collect a ksuba. In other words, she made a neder not to have enough from him. He was mekayim the neder. Like Beis Shammai, that the onus is on him, so therefore it's his fault. They have to get divorced because she can't have enough. and he'd have to give it ksuba. So if you're telling me that the machloikis by nursing is contingent upon him keeping the neder, why did we learn the machloikis by nursing? Learn it on the whole marriage. Learn it on the ksuba. So that's one kasha. But another question. The Tanya, it says openly, it says that what? Forget it, without a neder, a woman does not have to nurse the child. That's exactly the opposite of a Mishnah that says a woman has to nurse the child. So obviously, al mechabarta, it's clear. The Mishnah is not like Beis Shammai. Okay, I don't know about that shir tomorrow morning. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to look at this tomorrow. It probably won't be tomorrow morning. It probably will be later in the evening.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank everybody.